Hi, my name is Tiana Karamayas and I'm a Cavoodle puppy coach and breeder for Noodle Way and River City puppies. As a coach, my philosophy is simple. A Cavoodle should always complement your lifestyle, not complicate it. And this is the foundation to everything I teach. For almost the past decade, I have been working in the breeding, training, grooming, and veterinary sectors of the small animal industry. I've also been raising Cavoodles for the past 16 years, so I have definitely learned a thing or two about the breed along the way. Now this podcast is all about Cavoodles. Raising Cavoodles, training Cavoodles, grooming Cavoodles, breeding Cavoodles, and how to shape the behaviour of a Cavoodle puppy. So if you're a Cavoodle parent or you are looking at adding a Cavoodle to your family soon, then this podcast is for you. New episodes will be released each Tuesday morning and you can follow me across all social media under the name @OodleWay for more tips and advice on Cavoodles. Thanks for tuning in. Hello and welcome back to episode 28 of the Cavoodle Coach podcast, Rebooted. My name is Tiana Karamayas and I'm your host. You know when you make a goal for something and you underestimate how big it's going to be and then you find yourself in a situation where you just can't get everything done? That was me for these past couple of weeks. I had all intentions to be recording the podcast for last week and the week before that, but I underestimated how big of a task it would be to finish my new Cavoodle puppy program that I was trying my best to have ready for early access last Friday, so a few days ago. And I got to the Tuesday on each of those weeks and I was like, I honestly just do not even have a spare 5 minutes to spend recording a podcast. And I feel really bad about that, but the good news is that my new Cavoodle puppy program, it's a 28-day planner for when you first bring your puppy home. That's now finished. Early access is live, so it means that I can record the podcast again, which makes me really happy. So today in the podcast, I wanted to talk about toilet training and what being toilet trained really means for a puppy, because I think there's a bit of if you haven't had a dog before, I think there's a bit of a misconception over what it actually means, and I wanna set it straight so that if you're getting a puppy, you know what you're getting into and what having a toilet trained puppy actually means. And if you are getting a puppy, just keep listening to the end of this episode and I'll let you know all about my new program and how it can help you and your little Cavoodle puppy. So just hang in there and we'll speak at the end. Okay, so toilet training. Let's talk about what it actually means. So to put it into perspective, I currently have a 4-month-old Cavoodle puppy. His name is Joey. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll know who Joey is. And he is toilet trained. But it's toilet trained with a little asterisk, a little star on there, because there's a little bit more to it than just saying my dog is toilet trained. When you say a dog is toilet trained, I think one thing we have to get straight is that a toilet trained dog knows where their toilet is. So if you have a backyard, the toilet trained dog knows the backyard is where they go to the toilet, and this is their preference, and this is where they take themselves out. So they take the initiative and they walk themselves out into the backyard to go to the toilet. But no matter how toilet trained a dog is, no matter how much they know that the backyard is their place for the toilet, if they don't have access to that toilet, they will go to the toilet where they're standing if they're absolutely busting and they cannot hold it in. And this is really important because what tends to happen, and I see this with a lot of the families that I help coach with their new little Cavoodle babies, is they do really well with their puppy, and puppies can be toilet trained in a matter of a few short weeks. They absolutely can. So what happens is that puppy's doing really well. Their puppy is taking themselves out to the toilet. They're taking that initiative. And so the family starts to really slacken off on them guiding the puppy out to the toilet, because they think, okay, my puppy is walking itself out to the toilet. Therefore, my puppy is now toilet trained. Therefore, I don't have to worry about taking them out so frequently. And then what happens is the puppy starts having accidents again inside the house, whether that's because they can't get out to the toilet as frequently as they need, or simply the fact that puppies are still young and their bladder control isn't perfect. So even if they know the grass outside is their preferred place to go to the toilet, if they're getting distracted and they're playing and they need to go to the toilet, but the family's at the dinner table and they're all chatting and laughing and the puppy thinks that sounds amazing, and so the puppy needs to go to the toilet but they don't really want to go outside because they want to be with the family, and then they end up weeing at the family's feet. And it happens so frequently. And so what I want to try and explain to you all is, even if your puppy takes the initiative and goes out to the toilet themselves, even if your puppy hasn't had any accidents in the house for a couple of weeks, that doesn't mean your puppy is toilet trained. What it means is your puppy has formed a surface preference with the grass. So if they had the option between the grass or the floorboards, they will choose the grass. If it's at the same distance to each other and they had to go eeny, meeny, miny, mo, they'll pick the grass. But you still have to be aware in the back of your head when the puppy last went to the toilet. And it doesn't matter how old your puppy is. It doesn't matter if they're actually a puppy and they're a few months old, or if they're 2 years old or 5 years old or 15 years old. When you have a dog, and when you have a dog inside the house and you need them to go to the toilet in a certain place, doesn't matter what age the dog is, but you will always have in the back of your head, when did my dog last go to the toilet? And so what that looks like for me in my house is every single morning I take all my dogs outside to the toilet. Every single night before bed I take all my dogs outside to the toilet. If I've been out and I just arrived back home, I take all the dogs out to the toilet. And so I've always got in the back of my head, when did the Cavoodles last go to the toilet? Maybe they're due. Let's just guide them outside. And I honestly do this. I have a 17-year-old Cavoodle. He now lives at my parents' house. I've since moved out. But even when I'm at my parents' house, I still lead him down to the toilet, even though he's toilet trained and he's 17 years old. And so when we hear the phrase, my dog is toilet trained, you have to remember that it's always a responsibility of yours to just go, all right, it's been a few hours since my dog went to the toilet. My Cavoodle really loves me and the family, and they're a companion breed, and therefore they're always going to want to be with me. So maybe I need to just go and guide my puppy out. And this is particularly really important in situations where there's distractions. So if you have just come home and you've been out for a few hours, your dogs are really excited. They're definitely not going to get up from sleeping and go, oh, hang on, before I say hello to you, mum and dad, I'm just going to go to the toilet. That's absolutely not going to happen. They're going to be saying hello to you. And depending on how long it's been since they've gone to the toilet, and also depending on how old they are, puppies obviously don't have as long of bladder control as older dogs, they can end up having an accident at your feet. So toilet trained dogs means they've formed that surface preference. If they have the option between that surface and another one, they'll choose the surface they've been trained to, aka grass. And if they're not highly distracted and they need to go, they walk themselves out to the toilet. But toilet trained still means you have to be aware of when your puppy and your older dog last went to the toilet, and you just have to guide them out. And that's how we can continue reinforcing that the grass is the toilet, and we can make sure we don't have any of those accidents, especially if you have a puppy. And when I say a puppy, if you have a Cavoodle under a year old, they can do fantastic with their toilet training for a few months. But then if they start having an accident here and there, 1 a day, then it's 2 a day, then it's 3 a day, and then suddenly they're having accidents all over the place because that surface preference is ruined, the habit has been ruined of going outside, and now they just go in the house. So you can still backtrack and regress on toilet training a lot when your puppy is young. So we have to make sure that even if that surface preference is formed, even if our puppies are taking themselves out to the toilet, that we still, every so often, in the mornings, at night, when you see the puppy wake up, or when you just get home, you still guide them out to the toilet just to make sure that all of those wees are happening outside. One other point I wanted to make with toilet training is another thing that I see happen is people will go to a friend's house or a family member's house with their Cavoodle, and their Cavoodle is toilet trained. And so they go over to their friend's house and they just don't pay any attention to the dog and whether they need to go to the toilet. And then the dog has accidents in the friend's house and they go, oh, I'm so sorry, my dog's toilet trained. I don't know why they're having an accident. But what you're forgetting is your dog is toilet trained to your house. Your dog knows how to get outside at your house, but you've taken them to a brand new house and they don't know which twists and turns in the hallways get them outside. They don't know if there's back stairs they need to go down to get to the toilet. They don't know this house. There might not be a doggy door. So wherever you're going with your dog, you have to also remember, hey, they're toilet trained at my house, but they're not toilet trained at my friend's house. And therefore, I'll take them to the toilet as soon as I get there. If I'm going to be there for a few hours, I'll take them for another toilet break midway through. And then I'll take them to the toilet before I leave, just so they aren't busting for the toilet on the way home. So you just always have to be proactive. You have to have it in the back of your head. And you just have to accept that your dog, no matter how toilet trained they are, if they are busting and they need to go, and they can't get outside or they can't get to their designated toilet, they're going to go where they're standing. So we need to make sure that we're always on top of that toilet training, never letting it slip by us, because that's when the accidents start to occur. And for your Cavoodle's entire life, you'll always have it in the back of your head, when did my Cavoodle last go to the toilet? One final note I have, and this is as we're coming into the hotter months here in Australia with Christmas around the corner. A lot of us love to use the aircon during summer because it's just insufferable heat, understandably so. But if you have a doggy door and that's what you usually rely on for your puppy to get outside to the toilet, you have to obviously make sure that you take over all of the toilet training when you have the aircon on, unless you're going to leave a door open, because if your puppy can't get out to the toilet and you're not watching them, then they're going to have an accident inside the house. So with the aircon on, with the lack of doggy doors, if you've now shut your glass doors, make sure you're taking that toilet training back into your hands so that we can eliminate any accidents happening within your house. So those are my thoughts on toilet training and what a toilet trained dog really means and what it really looks like. Hopefully that was eye-opening, especially for those families who are getting a puppy and who are striving to obviously get their dogs toilet trained as quick as possible. Now, like I said earlier in the episode, dogs and puppies can be toilet trained within a matter of a few weeks. And again, that toilet train means the puppy is taking themselves out to the toilet and taking that initiative. They're going through the doggy door, unless they're overexcited, in which case you need to help guide them out so that they don't have an accident inside. And with that toilet training, I've also seen Cavoodles who take, 2 years before they stop having accidents every single day. And that's because their toilet training wasn't I guess it wasn't as structured as it should have been in the beginning. What happens with puppies is when you bring them into your new house, you have literally day one. On day one, they're in this new environment, and whatever new rule or standard or boundary you create for your puppy, that's what they're going to accept as their new normal, because they've just left the breeder's house and they've come into your house. And if you're not already getting your puppy and bringing them home on day one with a really clear plan on how to toilet train them, and they have 5 accidents on day one inside the house because you haven't yet figured out how to train them to go outside, well, that surface preference in your house is suddenly the floorboards or the tiles. And then you have to work twice as hard to revert that surface preference from the floorboards or the tiles to the grass outside. And then you have to add in a doggy door. And that can be really hard in any sort of counter conditioning training with puppies. It is so much harder than if you just did it the right way the first time and you immediately toilet trained them to grass the day you bring them home in the first 5 minutes of bringing them home. And so that leads me into my new program, which I have, which is called the Essential First Month Cavoodle Puppy Planner. Early access is now available just to select families who reach out and are interested in joining. It isn't yet available on my website. That's going to be coming in the next month. But for families who are getting their Cavoodles in the next month or the next 2 months, what the Essential First Month Cavoodle Puppy Planner program looks like is we have a lot of pre-puppy learning and a lot of pre-puppy videos to go through so that you understand things like toilet training as soon as you bring your puppy home, how to stop that separation anxiety from forming literally within your first few interactions with your puppy, where your puppy's going to be sleeping, how to actually cuddle your puppy so they're not biting your face, how to play with a puppy so that it's a learning experience and they're not learning to jump all over you and pull your hair, things like nutrition, teething, biting, mouthing, entertaining your puppy, enrichment. So there's a lot of pre-puppy work, and I really recommend that anyone getting a Cavoodle, it should never just be a split-second overnight decision. There needs to be prep involved. Just like how we spend 9 months preparing for the arrival of a baby, you need to be spending at least a month learning and preparing for the arrival of your puppy, because those first few days, those first interactions with your puppy, that's when you actually have the biggest impact on their overall behavior, personality, and demeanor. It's because they're in something called their critical socialization period. And so if you are not aware of what you're doing and all of your interactions aren't structured and all of your interactions aren't aimed towards reducing anxiety in your puppy and building their confidence, because Cavoodles are prone to anxiety, then what happens is you will have a puppy who has anxiety. You will have a puppy having accidents all through the house. You'll have a puppy who can't be left alone without crying hysterically, barking, chewing your furniture. You'll have a puppy who you can't sit down and cuddle because they just try and bite your nose and pull your hair, and it's a horrible experience. It's not calm and relaxing at all. And you just have a puppy who doesn't know how to communicate with you. And all of those interactions, that's what's formed in the first few days, the first week with your puppy, which is why the prep work is equally, if not more important than the actual physical training you do with your puppy. If you don't learn how to have a puppy and how to actually interact with your puppy, then it's not going to be a very smooth transition, and you'll have those behavioral issues forming. So with my Essential First Month Cavoodle Puppy Planner, we have all of the prep work. I have all of these video modules for you to work through to prepare you for a puppy, and they're literally video modules filmed with me and my most recent Cavoodle, Joey, what I was doing with him, and then some of my older Cavoodles as well, when they were younger puppies. And then it comes into when you actually bring your puppy home, you then get to follow a 4-week daily schedule with your puppy that has the correct amount of training, enrichment, separation, anxiety prevention, desensitization, emotional regulation, everything you need for your puppy day by day, all set out in the exact schedule I followed with Joey. And for anyone wondering, what's Joey like? He sleeps through the night for 12 plus hours, and he has been since night 1. He is toilet trained to my house, so that means I can leave him downstairs and he will walk himself out to the toilet. There will be no accidents. The only time I am conscious of taking him to the toilet is when he first wakes up before bed at night. And if I've been out of the house for a few hours, I'll always take him out when I first get home. So he's toilet trained to our house. He is really calm and relaxed, and our interactions, they're not uncontrollable. He's not having that uncontrollable, overexcited puppy energy where you just can't seem to get a word through to them. They just are not receptive. He is calm. He is receptive. He is eager to learn, follow direction. And that's because I spent a lot of time with him when we were younger, really streamlining our communication towards each other so that I understand him and he understands me, and that all of his needs are being met, which in turn makes him a very happy puppy and a puppy who is very content, instead of a puppy who is bored or trying to say something and I'm not listening to him. There are a bunch of other amazing things about Joey. He walks on a loose lead perfectly, which is really helpful to have, and he has been now since he was 13 weeks old. And all of these things are all of the different goals we have within the Essential First Month Cavoodle Puppy Planner. So if you are getting a puppy in the next couple of months, and if you do want to learn about the Cavoodle breed in particular, how to reduce their anxiety and increase their confidence so that you don't have those behavioral issues, and if you want to follow a program from a trainer or a coach, is what I call myself, designed for Cavoodles and the way that they learn and the way that they communicate with you, then you can just go down to the show notes in this episode and you can click the link there, and it'll take you to the early access to this program. Again, at least a month before you get your puppy. If you can have a month of preparation, it'll make the first month when you actually bring your puppy home so much easier. So I'll leave that link in the show notes. If you can't find the link, you can just send me a DM on Instagram. My Instagram handle is @OodleWay, and you can just DM me on there and you can say, hey Tiana, can I get early access to your Cavoodle Puppy Planner? I'll say yes, of course. I'll send the details to you. Or the third way to get a hold of this program is you can send me an email, hello@oodleway.co. That's my email address. Again, I'll write it in the show notes, and I can send it to you through there. If you're listening to this episode, maybe in a few months' time, not when it first came out, it's likely that the program will just be on my website. So you'll be able to just head over to my website and you can join the program if you want there. And I will mention that with the program, when you actually bring your puppy home and you follow those 4 weeks of daily schedules designed for a brand new Cavoodle puppy, with those 4 weeks, you also get access to a weekly group Q&A call with me so that you can do the schedule, follow the training, and then you can jump on once a week and you can talk to me and get all of my personal advice to your puppy and your situation, just so that we can ensure that you're really making the most of that critical socialization period and that you're actually going to be shaping your puppy into a Cavoodle who does complement your lifestyle rather than complicate it, because all of that is done within the first month that you have your puppy, which means we cannot delay it. We have to have a plan going into it, and that's exactly what this program is all about. So hopefully I will hear from some of you who want to join the program. I would love to have you in there, and I would love to meet you and your puppy, and I would love to be your Cavoodle puppy coach. And if you're not getting a puppy, hopefully you'll tune in next week for the next episode, because I definitely will be back. You will have all my attention now. There will be no more episodes missed until the end of the year. I will promise you that. Okay, I will see you next week. This has been your Cavoodle coach, Tiana Karamayas. I will see you later. Bye.